Okay, I just wanted to take this. It's basically Sunday. I can't remember what day is it. I think it's Sunday. I think the 15th of September. And basically, I'm taking this short video. I have not gone into the hive yet. I was going to do it today, but it's starting to threaten to rain, and I didn't want to take the chance. I'll probably do it when I go on vacation at the beginning of October. But in any event, this is the hive, the current configuration of the hive. As you can see, I have 3 stacks, 2 brood boxes, bottom, middle, and then the one on the top is a half height honey super, I guess that's what it's called. But you can see that they're outside today. They start out in the mornings. You know, everyone's inside the hive. All the workers are inside the hive, and then I guess as the day progresses and it gets hot and humid, they all come out and they start bearding. But this is the first time I've seen this many outside since I put on the third super on top. I noticed that after I had put on the third super, I got significantly less bearding. There was some bearding, but not as many as there used to be. I thought for a while maybe I had lost a large fraction of the colony, but I'm thinking that's not the case. They're all in there. It's just that they had more space to spread out. So in any event, this is what they look like right now. They're calm. I put a feeding bottle in this morning. I have noticed that they're taking longer to draw down and completely consume the feeding bottle than what it used to take, and at the height or the peak of summer, July, August, when there was that, that, what do they call it, dearth or dearth of honey, or of not honey, but of what do they call that sugary solution that flowers produce? I forget the name of it now. Fudge. Can't remember the name. There's pollen, and then there is, what's that called? Sugary solution. Nectar. There it is, nectar. So when the nectar wasn't flowing, they were ravaging those feeding bottles, and a simple 1-pint mason jar, they were just consuming it in less than half a day. They would consume the whole bottle. Now I'll find that a whole bottle will last more than a day, which is consistent with what you guys are saying, that as a nectar flow increases toward, the end of summer, beginning of autumn, and probably into early fall, they'll start to focus more on the nectar, and ignore the sugar water, which is mostly empty calories anyway. But so there you have it. Let me see if I can zoom in and you can get a better picture. I'm outside in the garden this time. I'm not inside the house. So let me see if I can zoom in here. Maybe I can show you. Gosh, this is such a pain. There. I have this thing on a tripod that has some really tight. That's as close as I can get. I can't zoom in any more than that. But you can see they're pretty calm. That's actually very, very calm. I've seen them in situations where they get really, really out of control, and then and they're buzzing. There's a bunch of bees buzzing, flying all around it. And I've seen when another hive attacks, or the raiding party arrives, and the aggression levels spike. They go through the roof. But that's not what's happening here. I can tell the difference now. I wasn't able to tell the difference at the beginning of the year in early spring because I had no experience with that. But I've definitely seen the difference. So I can now make a judgment about what I'm looking at. Thanks in part to the information that I received from you guys as well, because I needed to have, when you don't have a baseline, when you've never done this before, you don't have a baseline with which to compare your observations. You don't know what you're looking at. But when someone can tell you, this is what this means, that's what that means, then you can start to build an understanding of normal bee behavior. And then when things don't follow the pattern you expect, then you can start to wonder, well, what's going on. And that can't help but make you a better beekeeper anyway, so that's actually a good thing. Let me zoom out here. You can see there are two Langstroth hives. The white one on the right is not currently occupied, it's sealed off. I don't want any, what I was having was earlier in the year when I didn't have it sealed off, I had mud daubers going inside there and making nests. So I cracked it open a few months ago and cleaned it out completely. And then basically shut it back up and sealed it, put that bar on the bottom entrance and oriented in such a way that it's solid all the way across, so there's no way to get into it. I plan to probably get maybe a second colony, maybe next spring. I don't know, we'll see. So far, I mean, I'm liking the first colony. There were some challenges. I had problems with it, but it turned out to be okay, I think, in the end. On a side note, I'm actually losing some of my apple trees. What I have found is that there are some apples, very few, that can tolerate the weather in this part of the state, this in zone 9B. The worst thing for apples is really the scorching heat of the sun. That can really damage the trunk. But interestingly, there are some apples, like I have an English variety that's called, oh gosh, I forgot its name. It's been so long since I've looked at it. Well, so I have a couple of russeted English apples. One of them, surprisingly enough, Ashmead's kernel, that's the one. There are two Ashmead's kernels in this garden. One of them here, you can see them off in the distance there. Oh, so you might not be able to recognize what you're looking at, but just behind that pole, and that pole, by the way, that is my weather. It's my weather vane, it's my weather system, my weather data collector. I report the data that I gather in the garden to Weather Underground, and I also report it to Davis Weather Link. So that information, I'm told, is used in supercomputer models when they forecast the track of hurricanes and stuff like that. So it's nice to know that the data that I'm providing for them freely is being used to benefit humanity in some way. Anyway, so you can see behind that pole there's a tree that's actually doing not too bad. That's an Ashmead's kernel. Right next to it is another Ashmead's kernel, which is not doing well. I mean, it's really the luck of the draw, honestly. Sometimes you get a tree that has a good graft, other times you don't. So it's hard to draw conclusions about what apples can tolerate this area and what can't, unless you have a lot of years of experience and you tried multiple variations of the same tree, multiple plantings, because it could be that they just sold you a defective graft, something that had a defective graft in it, and the tree just died after a few years, which happens quite a lot, actually. In any event, this right here, that one right there in the center there, the center field of view, that's an apple, believe it or not. It was sold to me as a tropic sweet, which is a variety of apple that from the University of Florida, that's what they said it was, that produces a rather sweet small apple that is not tart at all. If you happen to have the Anna apple next to it as a pollinator, it's supposed to produce a bigger fruit. But I did have Anna, and I had a Dorset Golden here at one time in the past, but those trees, then they're not very disease resistant, and they died in short order. So, but yeah, that's an apple. So you see, it's doing fine. It's possible to grow apples in this area if you just get the right variety. It is possible. You know, I have plums here that are doing okay and other plums that are not doing okay. It's kind of the luck of the draw. Anyway, this whole exercise with the bees was all for this. Is to get them to do the pollination for these fruit trees that I have in the garden. Hopefully that'll pay dividends next spring, because when the bees arrived, the spring flowering had pretty much passed, so I wasn't able to be able to test that hypothesis out. But this upcoming spring, we're going to give it a go and see what happens. And if my suspicions are correct, I should be able to get a good fruit set for the peaches and the plums. Because that's one of the things that I've been having is the plums do not get enough bees visiting them because they bloom later in the spring. And what's happened is that by that time, the bees that are normally around here are basically carted off to into orchards in California and other places. So there are some wild bees, but they're not many. And what I find is that I wasn't getting enough blooming or enough pollination happening on the plums and the peaches this year. So we'll see how that goes. But there you have. This is what the colony looks like today. This is what the hive looks like today. I'm going to open it up. Oops, sorry. That was a mistake of mine there. I pushed too hard on the... That's my dog coughing and doing some weird stuff. I'll have to take him to the vet to get him checked out. There you go. Alright, I'm going to end the video now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.